Greetings IB artists, this is Miss A, and today is just a short video to give you kind of a checklist for submitting your artwork digitally to the IBO. I just wanted to help you regroup and ensure that you have a checklist of what are the most important things as you are submitting your work. In my short this week I talked about how important it is to give yourself plenty of time to check and double check that you've done everything correctly. So let's start from there. Having ensured that you have plenty of time to submit your files properly, I think the next thing would be to make sure that you have really followed the instructions that are submitted to your teacher most probably, and also to the IB coordinator. These instructions are specific to what types of files are acceptable and what type of files are not. Make sure that you really check those instructions out and that you follow them to a T in order to avoid drama later on, right? So this checklist that I'm giving you now is to avoid drama, because again, like I've said in my shorts, you have worked for 2 years and you're now at a point where you don't want to mess things up just because, you know, you are careless or you've run out of time or for whatever reason. So just make sure that you're following through and doing yourself a favor by following instructions, giving yourself plenty of time. The next thing is to double check that you are adhering to all that is required of you in every single component. You have 3 components, each comes with its own requirements, and you need to go through that list thoroughly, including how many screens you're supposed to be submitting, what else goes in there. So for example, the lists of sources for the comparative study, whatever it is. Like I said, each component has its specific requirements. Make sure that you have checked and double check that you've got everything that you need. I've got quite a few videos on that, on the requirements, but obviously check with your teacher and check with your coordinator as well. It is very important that you provide what you're asked to provide. Ensure that you know what that is and that you are providing it. Another issue is that you avoid any kind of possibility that you are providing work that looks like it's plagiarized because you haven't labeled things properly or credited things properly. So again, avoid that pitfall by going through your work. Is everything labeled? Is it clear what is your work and what isn't your work? Your teacher will be filling out an authentication form. Make sure that you're cooperating and that you're answering any questions that they may have in order to write that form, because it's really important. You could get disqualified just because you haven't made clear whether something is your work or you haven't credited where an idea has come from, etc., etc. So make sure that there is no chance of anyone accusing you of any kind of plagiarism, that everything is clearly laid out, that you provided all the citations, etc., and that your work is authenticated and well organized and clearly labeled. So just as a quick recap, give yourself plenty of time for the e-submissions. Make sure that everything is clearly labeled, that you have made a clear distinction between what is your work and what isn't, that you've credited all images, etc. You have made sure that you have followed all the instructions and read and reread what you're supposed to be submitting and how you're supposed to be submitting it, especially from a technical point of view, as in file formats, etc. And again, you've gone through each component and you have looked at what is required for your level, whether you're HL or SL, and that you have answered all the specific requirements for your level in each component, including things like number of slides and anything else that you need to be submitting. So I really hope this has been helpful. I hope that I've helped you organize before and during your e-submissions. I'm sure you've done wonderfully well. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking my video. I really truly appreciate it. All the best.